Hello, everybody. Welcome to Lone Depot Park. A few weeks ago, I was in Iceland. Can you believe that? 3,780 miles away. If you're from the Miami area, it's about 8 hours and 40 minutes by airplane. But here we are, back in the sunshine here, and the Royals are ready to get ready for the final game of their three-game series. And I'm pleased to be joined by Joel Goldberg of the Kansas City Royals. Welcome to the Motor City Mad Mouse Show.
It's good to be with you, and I'm glad we're inside because it's hot outside.
You think?
Well, we're used to the heat in Kansas City, too. This is nice and relaxing.
But yet, I'm wearing a hoodie that says Iceland on it. It don't matter. There's air conditioning, I think.
That's why you're wearing a hoodie, right?
Exactly. Two broadcasters getting candid, everybody. Well, number one, I want to talk to you about a guy that you have on there called Jack Caglione, the Florida Gators product. What are your early thoughts about Jack? This kid, to me, as I was getting their press releases, was tearing things up, and he looks like a refreshing player up there with you guys.
Yeah, it's early. I mean, Jack Caglione's one of the biggest. I see him kind of walking by us behind the camera right now. Well, literally, he's one of the biggest players I've ever covered. He is a monster size of a kid. He's only 22 years old, by the way, too. What to me is interesting is here's a kid that was in the big leagues less than a year after leaving the University of Florida, playing in the College World Series. He's also going through what a lot of young superstar players go through. He's struggling with, at the plate, adjustments, and all the things that big leaguers go through. This guy's dominated everywhere he's been in his life. He went to the same high school in the Tampa area as Kyle Tucker, as Pete Alonso, so he's had a lot of good mentors. Now he's trying to learn at the big league level, at the highest level.
All right, well, obviously you're in town to cover the Miami Marlins. Kyle Stowers is a heck of a player. The Baltimore Orioles, in my opinion, made a huge mistake getting rid of this guy, and I know he hit a two-run dinger to beat the Royals. What are your thoughts about what you're seeing from Kyle Stowers of the Marlins?
Well, it was interesting. We really hadn't seen him, and then we knew that he'd hit 3 home runs to go into the All-Star break. We knew what he did in the home run swing-off or whatever we called that thing in the All-Star game. And so what does he do? He comes back here on Friday night, and he hits the walk-off, which was the second home run of the game. So he looks like the real deal. I just talked to him. I was also told by one of the Marlins broadcasters, and just saw this up close firsthand, that he's a nicer person than he is a baseball player. And so, I always like to hear that part too.
Yeah, what are your thoughts about that home run swing up? Let me tell you, I'm road weary right now, Joel, having traveled an awful lot of miles because I had that European trip, had to go back to Detroit last week for a wedding, so I didn't make it to the end. Tell me a little bit about your impressions of that home run swing off. Just
fine-tune it. I would actually love to see every game end in a tie for that, just for the All-Star game, not for regular games. Or find a way, like let's say that the American League is down by 2 runs, then they've got to hit that many more home runs to win the thing. Let it end with that. That was fun. Now there are tweaks that they need to make. That you should be able to have any player on the All-Star roster come in. We should all be lucky enough to see Aaron Judge come back and do some type of a swing off. We should have, no offense to some of the guys that were in there, but it should be some of the best home run hitters. Stowers was obviously worthy of the moment, but there were some names in there that felt like they were just thrown in there. But I think that it's got some legs to it. It's a showcase. It's fun. I think it instantly made that All-Star game one of the most memorable.
Do those games actually count as 6-6 with the home run swing off? Like, I don't know what they do as far as a shootout is concerned. I'm not sure how you statistically categorize that.
Does it matter, though? Like, it's an All-Star game.
Okay.
Right? And I will say this, too. Like, I love what baseball has done with the placed runner in extra innings. I know a lot of people don't like that. But to me, it is like hockey. 3-on-3 during the regular season for overtime most likely leads to a quick ending and an exciting ending. And then let's get back to the basics when it comes to the playoffs, the history, the tradition, do it the right way. So I like where baseball's at with that right now.
Now, I know when we go back to Kansas City, there's a lot of talk about the stadium situation pertaining to the Chiefs as well as the Royals, whether they're going to go to Kansas, whether they're going to stay in Kansas City. Can you give me an update about where you think either or both of those teams are going to wind up?
I truly don't know. If I were to give you an answer right now, this isn't one of those, if I tell you I got to kill you. This is one of those, if I tell you, then I'm making it up. Okay. Because no one really knows. There's so many political entities involved. You're dealing with 2 states. You're dealing with multiple counties. We'll start with this. This is what I've told everyone that I know in Kansas City that gets emotional about it, because we get emotional about our teams as fans. Maybe we don't as much because it's work, but if you are 50 years old or younger, a little more than 50, you've never seen your Royals play anywhere but Kauffman Stadium. So it's personal, it's emotional, right? You're a Motor City guy. I mean, Comerica Park's where it's at, but Tiger Stadium's a thing of the past, right? A lot of memories of Tiger Stadium. That's how Kauffman Stadium is, formerly Royal Stadium. But they're going to leave Kauffman Stadium. They believe that it's outdated. They want to get in a more populated area. Make it a modern ballpark. All the fans say, "Oh, but we love the fountains. You can have fountains at the new stadium. You can do all those things." So they're not staying there. Then people say, "Well, what if they leave Kansas City, like the whole area?" They're not leaving Kansas City. This team was sold to a group of Kansas City business people and successful people in the Kansas City area, either that are there or with roots to Kansas City. They did not buy this team to move it to Nashville or somewhere like that. So they're going to end up somewhere in the area. Now the question, to your point, is it going to be Kansas or Missouri? Which, quite frankly, probably matters more in terms of economics, who's donating or who's raising the money, that type of thing, than it does. To give you this example, I live in a city called Leawood, Kansas. When I go out my neighborhood, I cross into Missouri. I'm that close. When people say, "Where do you live?" I live in Kansas City. I live in a suburb of Kansas City, Missouri, on the Kansas side. To me, it's semantics, but there's a lot of pride in that too. The state of Kansas would love their money to come over there and to do what they can to bring them over. The state of Missouri would love them to stay. The city of Kansas City, Missouri, which is where they're at right now. I don't know. All along they wanted a downtown ballpark. That may or may not be feasible at this point.
Very interesting. Thanks for bringing it up. Now we talk about the Detroit Tigers. Yes, I love Tiger Stadium. I was born and raised in Tiger Stadium. They had to let it go, but they actually have redeveloped it with the corner ballpark, so they're still using it. That's pretty impressive. And they have Comerica Park. Tigers sit atop obviously the AL Central Division. What are your thoughts about the Detroit Tigers? Do you think they have a chance to go all the way this year?
They certainly look like it. Now it's early. It's not that early, by the way, anymore. I mean, we're about 100 games in, so. But they've done it all year long. They have the pitching. They have the hitting. I think Javier Baez is such a big piece of that because he was an anchor pulling you down for a number of years. In the same way towards the end that Miguel Cabrera was, only in the sense that it's hard to take a superstar like that, making that kind of money, and bench them. And so you gotta roll with them. And now suddenly he's had this rebirth as a center fielder. And not just a rebirth, an all-star. So now suddenly you're getting what you hoped you were going to get years ago, added on to the growth of guys like Spencer Torkelson and so many of their young guys that are figuring it out. Great manager in A.J. Hinch. They certainly have the makings of one of the best teams in baseball.
You know, it's really cool that I'm talking to a Kansas City guy, okay? And I was at the last game at Tiger Stadium when they beat the Royals, when Robert Fick hit that bomb.
Off of, do you remember who? Off of who?
You tell me.
My broadcast partner, Jeff Montgomery.
That's why I led you in, because I knew that. So do you ever talk to Montgomery about being part of a footnote? I'm glad, that's why I led. You and I could tell we'd work well together if we ever had a chance. But I was at that game. In fact, the only two games I actually attended that year was opening day and the final game ever. Yeah. It's not bad if you're going to attend two games, the first and the last.
Yeah, I'm guessing that was by design on your part.
Good point.
We have brought it up to Monty more times than you might think, but that's part of the fun and games that we play with each other every single day. So we'll give him grief about it. Thankfully, he takes it very well. A grand slam off the bat of Robert Fick, yes. But you know what? I would say, all due respect to Robert Fick, Jeff Montgomery in his 304 career saves had a lot of good highlights and probably the better career. But in terms of a footnote, and Robert Fick had a nice career, in terms of a footnote, Robert Fick will go down in history as hitting that last ever home run at Tiger Stadium, and my broadcast partner of many, many years, Jeff Montgomery, gets to be in the record books with him.
Well, another one of your broadcast guys, Rex Hudler, and I worked together down in Fort Lauderdale when he was a member of the Fort Lauderdale Yankees, believe it or not, way back when. What's Rex like to work with? I took a picture of him recently when we were in Detroit covering the Tigers and the Royals, but Rex to me is one of the greatest guys. He's most candid. He had the guts to go out there and rip George Steinbrenner about being in the Yankees organization because nobody was making it up there.
Rex is one of the great personalities in baseball. He is crazy. I say that with mostly total affection. But, you know, we have fun. We laugh. he has a saying all the time that I hear multiple times a day, that laughter cures all. League and go hard every single day. He's your classic prankster. He's your classic jokester. But more importantly than that, and he is a great entertainer, he's got a huge heart. You know that. And so that's the beauty of being around him every day. He cares about people. He wants to put a smile on people's faces. And he's here to entertain people. You can't go through a day without HUD without laughing hysterically multiple times.
All right, two more questions. Number one, what are your impressions of the Miami Marlins? This is a team a lot of people didn't think were going to do any good, but Clayton McCullough has done a fantastic job with this club, and they've run in a brand new coaching staff. This team looks like a team that, if they can at least get close to 500 this year, there's some sustainability possibilities here.
You know, as you and I are talking too, it's almost like they're really not that far out of a playoff spot.
Right.
Could you go all in? I don't think they will, because they're an intriguing team. Now, I always say that when you play a team out of your division, and especially out of your league, you're seeing them 3 games a year in this case. You get a snapshot in right now, as you and I are talking, of just 2 days.
Right.
So to me, it seems a little, a little irresponsible for me to make a complete judgment on them, because let's be honest, I'm watching the Tigers a lot more than I am the Marlins. I'm watching the Twins a lot more than I am the Marlins. And so, I am less versed. But what I've seen in 2 days, I love the athleticism. I love the energy. I love, they look like they play the game the right way. They clearly have the pitching. I've been really impressed. Stowers obviously is blowing everybody's minds right now. Talking to people over there, they said he wasn't sure if he was even going to make the team out of spring training because he had such a bad spring training. But you're right. I mean, I'm sure Baltimore would love to have him back right now. They have more problems than just that. I'm impressed with the Marlins, and I don't think people around baseball realize that this is not a last-place team. It's a third-place team right now, and they look like it.
Well, the Royals recently won a World Series. It was good to see a lot of the Royals past people come out, like George Brett and so forth. How exciting was it to be a part of that team?
Incredible, and it's so interesting for me now, too, because there's only one guy left from that team playing in the big leagues, and that's Salvador Perez, who's still doing it. And so that was 2015. We're in 2025 now. They had their 10-year reunion. All those guys are back. Some look like they could still play. Some look like they've, maybe let it go a little bit, as many do post-retirement. My point is that as they're all coming back and celebrating these memories of 10 years ago, also had the 1985 reunion around the same weekend. And so you saw some of those guys, George Brett era and all that. But as all these guys, Eric Hosmer, Mike Moustakas, Lorenzo Cain, and on were coming back, here's Salvador Perez on stage with them, still getting ready for a baseball game, still the captain of this team. But that, I remember Big Papi David Ortiz said to me when the Royals went back to the playoffs in 14, the year before, when they won the pennant and lost to the Giants. Late in the year, he said to me, I just told these guys, the Royals, because they were in town, I told the Royals, if you guys win and get to the playoffs, you're going to change the city forever. And that's what happened with those teams. All
right, something just recently came to mind. I know you'll appreciate where I'm coming from this. Dick Howser, to me, was one of the most unbelievable managers I've ever seen. The Yankees letting him go turned out to be an unbelievable thing for the Royals. How much is he still revered after death? I know they're finally going to, is it my understanding, they're going to finally retire his number?
No, his number's been retired, and there's a statue. They've got 4 statues at the stadium.
Okay.
George Brett, Frank White, a joint statue of the couple, the late Ewing and Muriel Kaufman, the founders and owners of the Royals, and of Dick Howser. And so, I never met Dick well before my time. Obviously know all the stories, know all the guys, George Brett, Frank, all them, that certainly tell the stories. Yes, I mean, he was beloved, one of the great managers in Royals history. And, and then following in his footsteps was Ned Yost, who was the second one to win it. And they haven't retired his number yet. They put Ned Yost in the Royals Hall of Fame. It wouldn't surprise me if at some point number 3 is retired for Ned Yost as well.
Well, thanks for correcting me on that. I wasn't sure that's why being an out-of-town guy.
Well, and we don't have as many statues and names and numbers that they do over at Comerica Park. All the Hank Greenbergs and all those great names over there.
Yeah, pretty neat to admire those guys, isn't it?
Well, I love seeing those on the brick wall every time we go into Comerica. This is a great park, by the way.
And lastly, let's talk about the current Royals as constructed. How far do you think the Royals are from actually getting back into postseason play?
I think their challenge, as you and I talk right now, is that they're on the fence one way or another. Okay. This is a team that was built to make the playoffs this year. This is a group that believes that they could get in the playoffs and advance on what they did last year in the playoffs when they made it through one round and then lost in the second round to the Yankees. But right now they've been very up and down, and so we're getting close to the trade deadline. Well, we don't know. The big question, it's as much up in the air as the stadium talk, but more in a short-term way is, are they going to go this way or are they going to go that way? Not Kansas, Missouri. I mean buyers or sellers, and that's the thing we don't know right now.
Would you venture at this point to make a World Series prediction as to who you think will end up coming up with the crown later in the year?
It could change so quickly. I do love what the Tigers are doing. The Dodgers are obviously an easy pick at this point. The Yankees always seem to get there, even if they don't win it. It's been a long time since they've won it. I got to think right now the front runners are probably the Yankees and the Tigers.
Very good. I want to thank Joel Goldberg for joining the Motor City Mad Mouse Show. It's been so much a pleasure talking to you about baseball. I love baseball. I've been covering this for years. And to have you on my show today before the Marlins game has been an absolute treat. I'll look for you on Twitter, just so you know. We're at Tribune South. I'll look you up as well if you want to. Follow great, but that's just so great that you were able to spend a little of your time before the game with the Marlins and the Royals, because you have two small market teams here trying to be relevant, and now it's pretty interesting to see these two play.
Yeah, with a lot of talent too, a lot of exciting talent. I mean, we didn't even talk about Bobby Wood Jr., who's one of the top players in baseball. But my point is that there are a lot of good young players on both of these teams. It's fun to be able to visit. So, it's fun to be able to visit with a guy that just got back from Iceland. I've never done an interview with anybody that just got back from Iceland, so that's a first.
Well, I'll tell you what, a lot of good players for both teams, and I've had a nice history with the Royals, and I'll tell you what, I just added to it with Joel Goldberg, Motor City Mad Mouse Show. I wrote a book recently, Lessons from the Microphone. There's a strong possibility Joel Goldberg is going to wind up in my second version of it. So thank you very much, Joel, for spending your time with me today. Lessons from the Microphone can be obtained by Amazon Kindle or Barnes & Noble. Great talking with you, Jeff. God bless. I look forward to staying in touch with you, my friend.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.